live at noon.
The nonstop rain from the remnants of Tropical Storm Lee is causing serious concerns for folks who live along local rivers.
The Delaware River is already above flood stage and is far from cresting, and residents in Easton are waiting, watching, and hoping for the best. Meteorologist Mark Shanaberger is reporting live for us from the banks of the Delaware in Easton with the latest. Mark, how's it look?
It doesn't look good. It continues to rise here in Easton, Nancy and Jaciel, and we're going to continue to watch this all day long. And the rain, it's picked up once again, so it is raining here in Easton, and it has been for, I'd say, probably the past 45 minutes, and a pretty good clip as well. Let's go to the video, and you can see what we were dealing with earlier. That fire hydrant really is kind of been our marker as far as where the river level is along the Lehigh River, and now that has continued to back into Larry Holmes Drive, so that Lehigh River continues to back up, continues to rise. The Delaware not helping the situation because there's a lot of water coming down there, and that tends to back up into Lehigh. Have a lot of onlookers down here in Easton that are continuing to watch what's happening along both of these rivers. And Larry Holmes Drive it just continues to fill up. Like I said, that marker has been that fire hydrant for us, at least. When we first started out here, I would say around 8:30, the bottom of that was visible. Now there's probably about a foot of water around that fire hydrant, and it continues to rise. We've seen surges come up and actually start affecting our setup that we have here on Larry Holmes Drive, and we're almost to the intersection of 3rd and Larry Holmes Drive, and you can see some of the debris that has washed up with some of these surges, and it's well past our camera. Let me tell you that much. It's probably about halfway. If you can see over here, it's about halfway up towards Larry Holmes Drive that some of this water has come up at times. So we continue to deal with surges like this one that's going to come right now, and they've been happening for the past couple of hours like this. We have seen one car get stuck in this water and quickly got pulled out of it, but for the most part, people are obeying the signs that say the road is closed, so that is some good news. But we're going to continue to watch the situation here in Easton. The good news, as Matt will tell you, is that I believe the forecasted crest has come down a little bit, so that is obviously good news, but it's still going to crest well above flood stage here in Easton. Live in Easton on Larry Holmes Drive, I'm WFMZ meteorologist Mark Shanaberger. Back inside to you guys.
All right, thanks, Mark.
And now let's go to WFMZ meteorologist Matt Broderick for the latest on our flood forecast. Matt?
All right, guys, thanks very much. It's just a scene that we've seen way too often, isn't it? All right, here we go. And Mark's right. There is a little bit of good news. It's not great news because we still expect major flooding to occur as of this point because of the forecasted crest. Now, let's all keep in mind, and we all know this by now, these numbers do change and sometimes change quite a bit. It's very difficult for the Advanced Hydrologic Prediction Service to do this. This is a tough thing to do, and these numbers fluctuate a lot of times. Well, now the new numbers in, as far as the forecasted crest, have come down. It was at 33.6. Now it's at 31.7. That's still considered major flooding. Right now the level is at 26.74. So there's the flood stage. You can see about 11 to 12 feet above the flood stage, or about 9 to 10 feet. Now Riegelsville also has come down a little bit. At 30 feet, the town of Riegelsville begins to flood. The forecasted crest has just come below that to 29.4. Minor flooding is occurring right now at 25.89. Also Trenton, we are seeing some flooding occur there. Crest expected not at 2 a.m. anymore, but now at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, and the river won't come back below flood stage until about Saturday morning or afternoon. So it is going to be up there for a while. It's a big river. It takes a long time to fill up and a long time to come back down. So things will get worse before they get better. Full forecast on everything else happening in a few more minutes. Jaciel and Nancy, back
at 5.
It'll be another night of watching and waiting for anyone and everyone who lives near water.
Yeah, rivers and creeks are rising. Flooding is the real deal all over Pennsylvania and in parts of Jersey.
Lots to talk about tonight. WFMZ's Will Lewis is standing by in Riegelsville, Bucks County. But first, let's go to Craine. She is along the Delaware in Easton. Kathy?
All right, thank you very much, Robin. Good evening, everyone. I'll tell you what, it was kind of scary, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But take a look at the raging Lehigh River. It is still raging. A lot of people down here taking pictures, really checking things out. And you can see Larry Holmes Drive still very, very flooded. Look at the drain over here where some of these people are standing. The drain is, it's very indicative of all of the water that's been rushing through here and all the debris that is collected. But a few minutes ago, we had a wave, and I mean a huge wave, where we had to run like crazy, and it covered the entire sidewalk over here, and everything that I'm standing in was over my boots. It's scary to a lot of people, and it should be. Let's watch.
It's sad. I was a very little child when Diane took down the bridge, the Free Bridge. And I know what it can do, so it's pretty frightening.
A lot worse in 2004. This whole building right here, whole Exxon, these pumps, McDonald's, it was all under.
And I'm telling you, right now, we were a little bit frightened for some of the kids out here, because some of the kids that are riding their bikes, they actually had 2 kids riding all the way straight through the water, got stuck. The water was up towards their shoulder area, and they continue to ride their bikes. Finally, the police came over here and made sure that nobody is over in that neck of the woods to ride their bikes. Not a place to ride your bikes anyway. How far will it go? And has it been worse? Oh, yeah. I'll have that for you along with the AccuWeather. And Ed will have the AccuWeather forecast for you in just a few minutes. Back to you, Rob.
All right, thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. All right, let's check in with Will Lewis now.
He's live in Riegelsville, Bucks County, with an update on the situation there. Will?
Well, Wendy and Rob, let me go ahead and show you what's going on. To my left, most of your right, most of the people's right. As seen today, has been a lot of people coming down to the Delaware, looking and keeping a watch on the water. We're right across the street from the Riegelsville Hotel and Inn. Many of these people say they hope they will be able to stay in their home. The water is moving fast, and it's carrying a lot of debris downstream. Some people just came to look at the Delaware River in Riegelsville, Bucks County.
The power, what water can do, you know, the damage and everything, it's just amazing.
I've rafted this river before where you've had to paddle, and obviously you don't. This is crazy. I've never seen it like this.
For many of these residents, their home is not in danger. Their hearts go out to those bracing for the worst.
Obviously, it's devastation for the people who live in our town, and, you know, you have to hope that it doesn't get as bad as they say that it's going to be, which hopefully it will.
We have friends down the road from us that are on Gallows Hill Creek, and they haven't seen their creek that full since they've lived here, and they've lived here about 10 years. So it's, you know, it better stop raining soon.
And people are wishing that it will stop raining soon, and they keep watching on the flooding. Now, for the people living here in Riegelsville, I want to pass along a little information. If you do decide that you are going to leave your home, the Riegelsville Tavern has said that they will stay open and people can spend the night there. Now, coming up at 6, we go downstream to Kittnersville, where we talked to one family that has already packed up everything and they've moved upstairs, and they say in a few hours they'll be living on an island. Reporting live in Riegelsville, Will Lewis, 69 News.
All right, thank you, Will. Well, compared to other parts of the state, it looks like we might be getting off easy when it comes to the flooding. Tens of thousands along the Susquehanna River in the Wilkes-Barre area were ordered to evacuate by 4 o'clock this afternoon. The mayor's telling those residents to prepare to be out of their homes for 72 hours. The Susquehanna is projected to crest anytime between now and 8 o'clock, and it's expected to reach 41 feet. Water levels along much of the river are expected to be at their highest since the flooding caused by Hurricane Agnes back in 1972.
Well, I used to work in Wilkes-Barre, and everybody up there knows they have the old watermarks in the buildings where Agnes used to be. They've built up the levees since then, fortunately. So hopefully the water does not come over the top.
Yeah, hopefully. Yep. All right, let's get a check on the river levels now.
Here's Chief Meteorologist Ed Hanna.
Well, I've got so much information. Listen to this. First of all, Irene, most parts of our area, the average was about 5 inches of rain. Lee, the remnants of Lee, over 7 inches for most parts of our area. So gives you a good indication here of kind of comparing the two. But take a look at what we've got going on here as far as the tropics are concerned, boy, are things getting active. Katia moving off the eastern seaboard. That's acting as a roadblock, not allowing the remnants of Lee to move off and away from the area. But take a look, 2 other named storms now, one in the Gulf of Mexico, Nate, and then Maria, and 2 additional tropical waves. Take a look at some of the rainfall totals here since Monday. Remarkable amounts, but let's come on back here to Cinema Live. I want to be able to quickly get off and show you there are creeks and streams that continue to flood. Monocacy, Bushkill, Pequist in Warren County, Beaverbrook, Perkiomen, Neshaminy, and Schuylkill, all of those running very high and flooding. How about the Delaware, the Schuylkill, and the Lehigh? All those numbers will be coming up here very shortly. Be aware as far as the rain is concerned, heaviest and steadiest have moved away. Still could have a couple of showers, a downpour still possible, but the heaviest rain continues to move away. 6-day forecast and all the river stage data coming up.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Stay tuned to 69 News as we continue to follow the flooding throughout the night and into tomorrow. As always, go to WFMZ.com to get the latest river levels information and the most up-to-date forecast. Click on the Storm Center link on the homepage for any school closings or delays that may come up. And click on the Traffic tab for a list of roads that are closed because of flooding. Let's get a check on the roads right now.
Here's Rick Edwards.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. We'll take a look at 22 and 78 with our PennDOT cameras where we have no reported problems. It's the usual congestion. That's a good thing because emergency crews are busy with water rescues scattered around the region. Lots of flooding. And as Rob mentioned, you can check the whole list at WFMZ.com. Get on the traffic page. We do have trouble on 611, of course. That's flooded out from Easton down to Riegelsville. And to the north, 309, you can't get up over Blue Mountain to get into the Schuylkill County area there. It's closed from Mountain Road to Deer Run Road, Lynn Township, 309, trouble there. Now, locally, Schatz Road, Indian Creek Road, Spring Creek Road at Lower McCunchie Township, always prone to flooding. That's all still closed there. And Lehigh Drive there, back over to the Easton area, from West Easton down to Hugh Park Road, another area that's prone to flooding. And that will take a while to clear. To the north in Schuylkill County 81, there's trouble there from Route 72 to Route 443. And to the south now, we talked to Kathy and Will along the Delaware. They have big problems getting into New Jersey from Bucks County. A couple of bridges closed, toll bridges at the New Hope and Lambertville Bridge, and the Center Bridge and Stockton Bridge are closed. Even the pedestrian bridge, Lumberville to Raven Rock, is closed. The trouble on 57 in Warren County, New Jersey, through Franklin Township, also in Hackettstown. There are 57 and 182. These are all flooded areas. Again, you can check the whole list at WFMZ.com. It's right there on the traffic page. Oh, the East-West Turnpike. We'll have more on that later. That's closed from Harrisburg to Reading as of earlier this afternoon. That's your traffic report. Buckle up, please. Drive safely. Back downstairs now to Rob.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Now the all-important AccuWeather forecast.
Here's Ed Hanna.
Lots to talk about. Been giving you updates every half an hour, and thanks so much for staying with us. Also over on the AccuWeather channel, flood warnings continue to exist for all counties in our viewing area. Creeks, streams, you know, they're flooding. I mean, there's no question about that. It's the bigger rivers that we're now watching as these smaller creeks and streams empty into the bigger rivers. Temperatures throughout the region, 70s, dew points. It's somewhat humid out there, and that's going to continue to be the case here the next couple of days. Thanks in large part to Katia as it makes its way, just getting so close, really, the outer bands to Virginia, and now making its way towards the coastal parts of Maryland and Delaware. That's acting as a roadblock, not allowing the remnants of Lee right there to escape. And as a result, with high pressure to the north, this moisture has nowhere to go, and so we've had this conveyor belt of moisture just continuing to stream up and into our area. The good news is what's been happening over the past couple of hours. That steady stream has become much more kind of scattered about, broken up, very light, so there's still a chance for a couple of showers around. A downpour still possible. A thunderstorm wouldn't be completely out of the question as we look to the south, but there's just not a lot of activity going on right now, and that is much needed relief. Creeks, streams, as you know, many of them already major flooding has occurred in those locations, but I want to give you updated information here on the Delaware River. Some of these numbers have been tweaked. The forecasted crest a tiny bit downward, not much. Belvedere looks like just minor flooding is going to be occurring there, not even getting to flood stage. Easton, that is good news. That is good news for Belvedere. But Easton, the flood stage, 22 feet. This had been 32 feet, the forecasted crest last night. It's been downgraded. It was 31.7 earlier, now 31. That's a tiny bit of good news. All this to occur tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Right now at 27.49 feet. Riegelsville, so it's going to be going up about another 3-4 feet. Riegelsville, flood stage, going to be getting the forecasted crest another 7 feet above flood stage. We're at 26.82, and Trenton looks like minor flooding there. Along the Schuylkill River, get some sense here of what we're dealing with. Burn, 15.8, forecasted crest that'll be late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Currently almost there at 15.45. Reading looks like they're going to be about 5 feet above flood stage, almost at 19.21 feet. Pottstown, moderate flooding, 19.8. The flood stage at 12.5 at 15.41 in Philadelphia. Lehigh River, all good news. Everything is going to stay below the flood stage as this area of low pressure, the remnants of Lee, continues to move back to the week and weaken as Katia again acts as that roadblock. One good part of all this is Katia is up and out of here by tomorrow, after tomorrow, and that certainly will free things up, but this pattern is going to be slow to break down. 64 degrees, still a couple lingering showers, some patchy fog, and by that I mean the heaviest and steadiest rain clearly gone and away from our area. But the clouds, the scattered showers, a heavy downpour still possible, not only tonight but into our day tomorrow. And I think through the weekend, a shower, a heavy thunderstorm still possible with plenty of clouds and this very warm tropical air mass in place. Things calming down Tuesday, Wednesday. But things are improving, and that's very, very good news. One quick note. Some other places you had mentioned are even worse. Like you get back into along the Susquehanna River Valley, but Swatara Creek and Hershey, give you an idea. The flood stage is 7 feet. They're forecasted to crest tomorrow night at 27 feet.
Oh my goodness!
Since records have been kept, the highest crest has been 16 feet. Oh. This is 27 feet, 20 feet above flood stage. That's massive flooding. So obviously we have it bad here. There's some other places that are even worse. So.
Central and north central PA seem to be the Susquehanna Basin getting the worst.
12 to 14 inches in just 24 hours there.
My goodness.
Unbelievable.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Official
at 5:30.
Berks County is taking a beating from Mother Nature. Many roads have already been turned into rivers like this, and part of the Pennsylvania Turnpike has been closed. The worst may be yet to come. Good evening once again. I'm Rob Vaughn.
And I'm Wendy Davis. The water is rising and will continue to do so throughout the night, and that is causing problems all over Berks County.
WFMZ's Melissa Fullerton is live in Reading with the very latest. Melissa.
Well, Rob and Wendy, I'm in the area of 2nd and Franklin Streets, and this street has been closed for quite a while. And if you look behind me, you can see why. The water continues to move up in our direction. But just recently, Reading police also shut down 2nd and Penn Street, so they do not want anyone coming into this low-lying area of the city. The water shut down Rack here around mid-morning. It shut down several schools across the county, and it even destroyed one Berks County business.
It was pretty scary, actually.
The staff at Eisenhower Nissan was prepared for high water. They moved the cars off the lot Wednesday night, but they weren't prepared for the rush of water that broke out the office window and trapped 17 employees inside.
It just overtook the building, so it seems like something gave way.
No one was hurt, but the office furniture floated outside. Concrete in the parking lot buckled, and parked employee and customer cars were pushed together.
We had 8-foot high walls that are gone. Absolutely gone.
In Leesport, water covered all 4 lanes of Route 61.
I was so concerned about the traffic this morning that I called the police.
The road was closed, but some refused to heed the warning. In Reading, Mayor Tom McMahon declared a disaster emergency.
It allows us to be able to recapture some of the extra costs for police and fire and public works over time.
There'll be extra patrols near blocked streets and low-lying areas. The Schuylkill's expected to crest overnight.
At 20.5 feet, it's about 2 feet less than it was in 2006.
Now, city officials are asking if you have your car parked in one of those flood-prone areas. They're asking you to move it. If you don't do it, they'll be sending the tow truck around to do it. If you need a place to park your car in higher ground, the Parking Authority has opened up the parking garage at Front and Washington Streets. You can park there free of charge throughout the weekend. Live in Reading, I'm Melissa Fullerton, 69 News.
What a mess. Thanks, Melissa, for that. The American Red Cross has set up a shelter for those affected by the flooding. It's located at Reading High School on North 13th Street. Food will be available. Cots will be offered, too, for anyone who needs to stay overnight. The Humane Society is also setting up a shelter for pets at the high school.
Well, over in Pottstown, people are also bracing for higher waters.
WFMZ's Dwayne Parker has that.
For Karen Vandergrift, living next to the Schuylkill River in Pottstown has lost its charm.
It's just so depressing. We've been here 26 years.
She has flood insurance, and as the water creeps closer to her home, she says she's ready.
I thought we would just stay and wait it out.
Meanwhile, hydraulic technicians from the U.S. Geological Survey were hard at work measuring the depth and speed of the river. They say here it's racing at a brisk 10 miles an hour.
Really, it's during situations like this that we need to go out and collect the data. We need to verify that what our stream gauge is reading is accurate.
Now, usually on a dry day, you can walk to the edge of those trees which line the banks of the Schuylkill River. But today, that's absolutely impossible. Pottstown officials have already closed half a dozen roads, and a Red Cross shelter has been set up at the Pottstown High School.
This so far is worse than what it was last week with Irene. We didn't have levels quite this high, so we're already exceeding those levels.
Officials say widespread damage may be avoided if the river crests at 20 feet. But for Karen, that will leave a good portion of her home underwater.
I said the ambiance of living on the river is gone. I'm done.
In Pottstown, Dwayne Parker, 69 News.
The Army Corps of Engineers is making moves that could lead to more flooding. It's released large amounts of water from Blue Marsh Lake. The lake sits on the Topahawken Creek, a tributary of the Schuylkill. Officials say if they don't release the water in a controlled manner, more water could end up flowing downstream, making matters even worse. Meantime, all recreation facilities at the lake have been closed.
And now we get the very latest on the Schuylkill River.
Chief Meteorologist Ed Hanna is over in the Weather Center. Ed.
Well, we heard someone there say, Rob and Wendy, that Irene was not nearly as bad as this. And to give you some sense here, just some perspective, that for most parts of the Berks County area, Irene provided anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain. This storm, the remnants of Lee, and of course, everything being bottled up by Katia, not getting off and kind of just acting as a roadblock in that frontal boundary off the eastern seaboard that moved through Monday. We've seen essentially between 5 and 8 inches of rain with many parts. Like outside of our Court Street studio, it's closer to 7.5 and nearly 8 inches of rain. Just remarkable amounts of rain in a short period of time. And even before Irene, the ground was saturated. It had been very wet since going back to August 1st. And so we've got the flood warnings. Obviously, that's a given. It's a no-brainer. Take a look. You can see that conveyor belt of moisture. One good thing is that it's become much more scattered about, but take a look to the south. There's still some shower activity. So a couple of scattered showers, a thunderstorm still possible tonight, and even a heavy downpour. The very latest information from the Schuylkill River. You can get some sense here of what we're dealing with. Burn looks like it's going to crest, and this is all going to be sometime tonight during the overnight hours between midnight and 2 in the morning. 15.8 is the forecasted crest, currently almost there. Reading looks like it's going to crest about 5 feet above the flood stage of 15.5, 20 feet currently at 19.21. Pottstown, the forecasted crest, that looks to be probably the worst, 19.8. That's definitely moderate flooding there, already at 15.41 in Philadelphia. Again, expected to be minor flooding there. Question is, where are we headed as we move towards the weekend? This remnants of Lee, it's going to be very slow in moving off the eastern seaboard because we got to wait for Katia to exit off into the Atlantic. 6-day forecast coming up.
Live at 6.
Rising rivers are prompting that sinking feeling all across the region, that feeling of it is happening again. More flooding.
And this latest round is shaping up to do more damage than Hurricane Irene. We have team coverage for you tonight. We're going to start with WFMZ's Will Lewis. He's keeping an eye on the Delaware River in Riegelsville, Bucks County. Will.
Riegelsville, there's not a lot of flooding, but like we told you an hour ago, a lot of the people that live here in the town are coming down across the street from the Riegelsville Hotel and Inn, checking out the water levels here on the Delaware. But downstream, it's a different story in Kittnersville. The roads are blocked and one family is facing major flooding for a third time.
Now it's just a waiting game. Just waiting to see what's going to happen.
Furniture on the table and water from the mountain behind them already in the basement. For the Ansbro family, this scene has become way too familiar.
I've got 2 half horsepower pumps that have been running since last night, and they have not been able to keep up with it.
Matt, his wife, and 2 sons are going to stay in the home. And soon he will be the only one on this stretch of Route 611 because the road will be closed on both sides.
It'll eventually start crossing the center line. We use the Riegelsville gauge as kind of a determination as to when we need to move things. And about 28.5 feet of Riegelsville starts coming in the basement.
Currently, the only people getting through going northbound are big garbage trucks.
I got two of the customers down here on the right, so I try to put my customers first.
With all the flooding problems and the cleanup afterwards, one may wonder why Matt stays in his home by the river. He says he would move if he could.
We tried the buyout program that the state affords through PEMA and FEMA. You know, we would lose so much money just taking a buyout.
Now, emergency crews have been driving up and talking with the Ansbro family and said they are there for them if they need them. They gave them their main numbers and their cell phone numbers, but Matt hopes he won't have to call them. Reporting live in Riegelsville, Will Lewis, 69 News.
Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Will. The people of Easton are also waiting to see just how bad it's going to get along the Delaware.
WFMZ's Kathy Craine is in Easton tonight, and she's continuing our coverage for us. Hi, Kathy.
Hello there, Wendy, and good evening, everyone. I'll tell you what, we've got a lot of crowd out here, but it is a very serious matter. You can see that those folks over there are standing on high ground. We are standing in water. Just about an hour ago, we were reporting live way down there, and you can see that the water, look where the water line is right now. You can see the water line is way up there, and very much of a flooding situation here in the Lehigh River. As a matter of fact, we expect it to crest around 8 o'clock tomorrow morning at 31 feet. Right now, it's about 27.19, and that's where we're seeing a lot of this waves coming at us, and it's a very scary situation. But I'll tell you what, despite all that you see right over there and the river that is really flowing like crazy, some people tell us they've seen it a lot worse.
Yeah, I came by this morning and it was up on the road a little bit and they had it closed. So I kind of expected it to be up a little bit higher.
I'm used to it. Be honest with you, yeah, I'm used to it. 2005, I survived it. So then last couple weeks when we had it before, and then today. So it hasn't hit me yet.
And once again, folks, we are right here on Larry Holmes Drive. You can see another wave coming at us. The water line was all the way up to here, and it is continuing, and this was completely dry about an hour ago. The river is going to be cresting at around 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, and the flooding is a very serious situation here in Easton. Reporting live, I'm Kathy Craine.
Okay, Kathy, thanks for the update. The rising water is causing headaches all over the place, including Berks County.
Yeah, let's head out to Melissa Fullerton. She is live in Reading with the details for us from there. Melissa.
Well, Rob and Wendy, we used a couple of our cones to show you how far the water has risen since the last time we saw you about a half an hour ago. This cone was on dry land when I put it out about a half an hour ago. You can see where it is now, but more impressive, check out that cone right in the middle of all the water. That was a dry spot when I put that out there a half an hour ago, and you can see how far the water has moved since then. And that is the story all over Berks County. Rising water causing some big problems.
I don't really know what to do.
Things were anything but tranquil at the Tranquility Day Spot. Typically, you'll find this spot right off Route 61 in Leesport. Thursday, there was a rushing river outside, blocking all 4 lanes of the road. It stopped traffic and slowed business.
I have one car in my lap today.
The water brought business to a complete halt at Eisenhower Nissan in Lower Heidelberg Township.
We lost a wall, we lost a window, and then the water just started rising inside the building.
The staff moved the new cars off the lot before the flood, but customers and employees had their vehicles washed around by the overflow.
But the main thing is everybody's okay.
We do have extra police and fire out. We've been out all day and knocking on doors and letting people know.
In Reading, emergency workers spread the message to move to higher ground. There was no mandatory evacuation, but a shelter opened at Reading High School. And any cars left in the flood-prone areas risked either high water or the city tow truck. Now, we do have some emergency workers out here with us, and the latest they tell me is that the Schuylkill River is expected to crest at 8 o'clock tonight, 5 feet over flood stage. We are live in Reading. I'm Melissa Fullerton, 69 News.
Thanks, Melissa.
All right, now I'll look at the forecast.
We're going to head over to Ed Hanna in the Weather Center.
A lot to talk about. It's good to see you all. Let's get quickly to the Galileo. Give you some perspective, and there's some changes, just as an FYI. Very interesting now. Delaware River at Easton, Peaburg. It was previously going to crest tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., now during the overnight at 2 a.m., and likely to stay at that level through 8 a.m. Very important, that crest of 31 feet now expected to reach at 2 a.m. during the overnight tonight. Give you some sense here, at 31 feet, that puts some of the flooding North Main Street at Broad Street in Phillipsburg flooded, and Sawmill Street in Peaburg floods. Probably not going to get to that North Delaware Drive flooding. Delaware at Riegelsville, expected 29 feet, again, cresting at 2 a.m. If we get there, getting very close to seeing parts of Riegelsville flooded at 26 feet. River Road in Carpentersville floods, Route 611 and Sycamore floods. Quickly to the Cinema Live. Check it out. These are the current levels. Easton, 27.49 and rising. So it looks like we're going to get there around 2 a.m. now, not 8 a.m., but it should stay there at that level for at least 6 to 8 hours. Riegelsville, looks like we'll get to the flood forecasted crest 29 feet, currently at 26.82 feet. What about the Schuylkill and Lehigh, other rivers? More information, lots more coming up.
Thank you, Ed. Well, the remnants of Tropical Storm Lee are targeting other parts of Pennsylvania.
About 70,000 people are evacuating from the Wilkes-Barre area, from towns along the Susquehanna River. The river is expected to crest tonight at heights not seen since Hurricane Agnes in 1972. Governor Tom Corbett, you just saw there, has ordered the highest possible state of emergency in response to the flooding in the Susquehanna Basin. The Pennsylvania Turnpike is closed from Harrisburg to Reading, along with parts of I-80 and I-81. Tropical Storm Lee has led to 9 deaths, including 3 in Pennsylvania. We have additional flooding coverage on our website, WFMZ.com. There's a link to local river levels. You can see how high the rivers in your area are. We also have a slideshow of flooding pictures in the features belt of our main page. Stay with 69 News for continuing coverage of the floods. We'll have live reports tonight at 7, 8, and 9, leading right up to 10. Good evening, I'm Rob Vaughn.
And I'm Wendy Davis. The nonstop rain this week has now forced dozens of people from their homes in Liberty Township, Warren County, New Jersey.
There's an awful lot going on tonight, including this in Warren County. Crews from the Mountain Lake Fire Department responded to a call for a mudslide tonight, a little after 6 o'clock. So far, 1 home has been destroyed and others been damaged.
WFMZ's Will Lewis is on the phone now from Liberty Township with the latest for us. Will.
Well, Robin, Wendy, fire crews tell us here in Mountain Lake they've been pumping water out of basements since 3 this morning. The firehouse is just around the corner, and one fireman told me he heard a tree fall here on Lewis Lane, and when they came to check it out, the ground gave way. We're going to show you some pictures of some workers took out on the scene. This home was destroyed, but the people inside of the home did get out safely. Another home in the area was destroyed, and fire crews actually had to move us all the way back from the scene because the retaining wall at the 3rd home is already starting to give way. Now, the Mountain Lake Fire Department and the Warren County Emergency Management Agency are currently meeting right now to see what they want to do with the area, and they said they will update us soon. Crews did evacuate everyone on Lewis Lane, and they are either staying with family or at the Liberty Township School or at the Mountain Lake Fire Station. We just finished talking to the owner of that home that was destroyed during the mudslide, and he said right now he's devastated. It was his son and his son's fiance that was in there. Right now they're trying to be able to get in and maybe get their belongings. They still have 3 of their 4 cats that are in the home that they want to get in there. But right now, fire crews are saying that there's no way anyone that lives down that block can get into their homes. Of course, we'll have much more on 69 News, the Sunrise Edition. Right now, reporting live in Liberty Township, Will Lewis, 69 News.
All right, thank you, Will. Well, officials on the other side of the Delaware River in Easton are bracing for major flooding. The river is expected to crest there around 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Easton Mayor Sal Panto declared a state of emergency for the city at 4 o'clock today.
We have evacuated all of the area along the flats, along Lehigh Drive, and all of the homes along North and South Bushkill Drive, north of 3rd Street and south of 3rd Street.
Well, right now, Larry Holmes Drive is closed between 3rd and Northampton Streets. With the state of emergency, Panto says there is going to be zero tolerance for drivers who go around barricaded areas. They will not be having a curfew.
The Delaware River isn't the only waterway that has people worried.
Residents along the Schuylkill River in Montgomery and Berks counties are also bracing for flooding.
WFMZ's Dwayne Parker was in Montgomery County earlier today, and he's standing by live in Reading now with the latest. Dwayne?
Good evening, Rob and Wendy. Right here in the city of Reading, the Schuylkill River has already overflooded its banks, and as you can see here, the water is approaching 2nd Street. But these images are not unique. In fact, all eyes have been on the Schuylkill River all day, and residents in Pottstown saw a lot of water in places they weren't expecting it. Usually, you would find folks running along the Thune Trail in Pottstown, but today, that was impossible. The Schuylkill River was already 3 feet above flood stage by 2 in the afternoon. Half a dozen roads were closed. Hydrologists with the U.S. Geological Survey were on the Hanover Street Bridge monitoring the water. They confirmed the current was moving at 10 miles per hour. Officials said that if the river crested at around 20 feet, they could avoid widespread damage. Meanwhile, nearby homes and businesses were put on notice. Now, coming up on the Berks Edition at 10:30, we'll show you what the Schuylkill River is doing right here in Reading, and officials even say they might see a light at the end of the tunnel. Rob.
Well, let's hope they do. Thanks, Dwayne. We'll see Dwayne at 10:30. Now we go to the Weather Center to find out where the rivers are and how high they're expected to go.
Meteorologist Amanda Cox is in for Ed tonight.
Hey guys, well, it has been a wild ride. Lots of rain has been picked up over the last several days. There's been record-breaking flooding in parts of the area, especially in some of the northern sections. We were talking about the Susquehanna River earlier that was making its way very, very high. Even down near Hershey, there was some record-breaking flooding as well. In our area, we have seen the Delaware already have some major flooding occurring, and that has also been some of the case on the Schuylkill River. We'll talk about the detailed information on those river levels in just a little bit, but you can see that rain was really pounding our area. Things have quieted down a bit around our area. However, a shower or thunderstorm can't be ruled out at any time as we move through the overnight hours, because you can see that little bit of activity to the south of us is trying to sneak northward. It's something we're going to continue to watch. A lot of this is a bit of ground clutter, but there is some light shower activity out there. However, it's much less than what we've seen over the last couple of days, and this is going to be the trend as we move through the overnight, during the day on Friday, and even throughout the course of the weekend, because the system that's affecting our area is going to start to weaken and break down, because Katia, that's out to the east, is finally going to head out to sea, and we will see things changing a bit around the area. But you can see there are flooding and flash flood warnings across the entire region. We've had a lot of flooding on some of our smaller streams, creeks, and rivers, and those are actually starting to recede back into their banks. But all of that water is getting dumped into our larger rivers, which causing these to continue to rise, and that's why we're going to continue to keep you updated, not only here on 69 News, but also on the AccuWeather channel throughout the overnight hours for all the latest information on our major rivers and how they're affecting the region. Rob, Wendy, back to you.
All right, Amanda. 30.
I'm just waiting. It makes me nervous. I'm really nervous.
Anxiety is rising right along with the water levels. From Hamburg to Pottstown, the Schuylkill River is spilling over its banks, as are other creeks and streams. Floodwaters have led to the closing of a big stretch of the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and the water is continuing to wreak havoc tonight. We begin at 10:30 with the latest on the flooding in Berks County.
WFMZ's Dwayne Parker has reaction from people who live near the Schuylkill River. But first, we're going to go to meteorologist Amanda Cox for the very latest on the river levels. Amanda.
Hey guys, well, it looks like there is a slight bit of improvement. It's still quite a mess out there, but we are starting to see things improve a little bit. You can see we have had a lot of rain over the last several days, and that's because the remnants of Lee that's out to the west of us is not being able to budge, and that's because of Katia out to the east. That's just keeping that roadblock up and just not allowing things to move, and we've had a lot of precipitation. Most locations have picked up 4 to 8 inches on average. average, but there's been several locations that have picked up even higher amounts than that, and that's why we do see these flooding problems. You can see there's a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity to the south of us. Most of us are pretty quiet now, just a little bit of a shower or two around. Most of this is pretty light. A lot of this is ground clutter, and we're just not seeing a whole lot compared to what we've seen over the last several days. But the good news is Bern has already crested. Redding, what we're kind of starting to see is it's leveled off, and hopefully over the next couple of hours it's going to start to drop. But as of right now, it's kind of leveled off, but we're continuing to keep an eye on it, because as the smaller streams and creeks dump back into the Schuylkill River, that may try to increase it a little bit, and so we're going to continue to watch it, not only here, but also on the AccuWeather channel throughout the overnight hours. Pottstown is still a big problem, and we're also keeping an eye on Philadelphia. I'll have more details on all of this in just a few minutes. Let's head back to the desk.
All right, thank you, Amanda.
All right, let's go to Dwayne Parker now. And Dwayne, you spoke to folks who live near the river in Redding, and how are they feeling tonight?
Hey, Robin, Wendy, many of the residents here say they are concerned, and this is why. As you can see, the Schuylkill River has overflooded its banks, and those waters are approaching 2nd Street, very close to these homes here on 2nd Street, and many of them understandably are concerned, but officials say this could change very soon. Many families living on 2nd Street in Redding were keeping a lookout for floodwaters. They remember how in 2006 their street was turned into a river, and now those fears have returned.
I'm really nervous. I hope that it doesn't flood like I think it will.
Josh Torres says he's worried because he has a pregnant wife to think about.
I really don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Anything, worst comes to worst, I'll try to find a family member.
The rising waters drew quite a crowd around 6 Thursday evening near Redding Area Community College. Many took pictures to capture the moment.
Just observing everything, how the water's increasing minute by minute.
And are you concerned at all?
A little bit.
But officials are hoping the end might be in sight.
This is so much better than it was in 2006. We had a lot more devastation then, so
that's good news at least.
Absolutely.
Residents say they will be keeping their hopes up. I guess you'll be keeping your fingers crossed tonight.
I am. I'll probably be up all night watching.
And emergency responders will be doing much the same.
Oh, yeah, we'll be on all night long.
Now, officials say they hope tomorrow things can start to get back to normal. We are live in Redding. I'm Dwayne Parker, 69 News.
All right, thank you, Dwayne. Well, a shelter has been set up at Redding High School for anyone who wants to get out of the way of the rising river.
That shelter opened at 2 this afternoon, but as of 8 o'clock tonight, no one was taking advantage of it yet. Volunteers are offering food and cots to folks looking to stay dry tonight. The Humane Society and Animal Rescue League are also on hand there, so pets are welcome. The shelter will remain open through the night. The Redding School District has already canceled classes, by the way, for tomorrow. Shelters have also opened in Montgomery and Chester counties. Anyone seeking a place to stay dry can go to Pottstown Senior High School in Pottstown or Owen J. Roberts High in North Coventry Township. Our viewers watching in Schuylkill County can also seek shelter if need be. The Red Cross has set up a shelter at Schuylkill Haven High School. That's at 625 East Main Street in Schuylkill Haven.
Well, rising floodwaters have forced a 39-mile stretch of the Pennsylvania Turnpike to be shut down. Officials say the turnpike is closed between the Redding and Harrisburg East interchanges. Traffic was backed up near the Redding interchanges earlier this evening. The detour for drivers heading west involves taking 222 north to Route 61, then I-78 to I-81. Officials say the Spatara Creek is so high it's affecting a bridge on that stretch of highway. Well, some state workers will get another day off tomorrow. The Redding State Office building at 6th and Cherry Streets will remain closed on Friday. So will the Capitol Complex in Harrisburg. Both buildings were also closed today because of the weather.
Rushing water trapped 17 employees at a car dealership in Western Berks.
The water got a little too high, and it pretty much came straight through the place and caused a lot of chaos.
No one was hurt when the gushing water overtook Eisenhower Nissan in Lower Heidelberg Township. The office furniture floated outside the building. Fortunately, they were expecting some flooding, so they moved the cars off the lot last night.